never engage in behaviors that will be harmful to others.
Right.
So again, we have to think of ways, as you pointed out, and strategies to make sure that one, getting well ourselves is not enough.
Right.
We got to help others get well too, in a very positive and a way, as you so clearly pointed out.
Sure, and you know,
Absolutely.
Dr. Green, right now, Virginia politically is a hot mess. You know, you have the governor who has now, well, Friday he admitted it. Saturday he wasn't sure if that was him in the picture or not. Now the lieutenant governor is caught up in sexual assault allegations. And now today, the attorney general just admitted that he participated in blackface activities. So you've just got a real political hot mess in Virginia. And so when you look at the governor with his blackface allegations, and now the attorney general with his blackface allegations, you know, you have a couple of things. Number one, these are critical positions for protecting the community. You know, you're talking about the attorney general, who is the people's lawyer. When you look at the governor, who is the top executive of the state, and of course he is or she is responsible for taking care of all the citizens, regardless of whether they voted for you or not.
Yes.
And then on top of that, he's a medical doctor. So you start to wonder, and I may not be the only person that wondered this, but was there any disparaging treatment, you know, that he was given or he refused to give to people of color? And so, you know, you just start wondering all these things, because blackface, I don't care how you spin it, is just a totally reprehensible depiction of the African American race and the African American struggle.
Yeah, it really is.
And so when I see these things, and I'm sure, unfortunately, he's probably not the only one, and I'm sure there are others that are like, you know, should I come out and say that you know, I was involved in this stuff? Because you know that the press is going back and they're digging through everybody's yearbook and to see if you showed up in a picture in either a Klan outfit or blackface or whatever other type of disparaging dress there is out here. So I guess my question to you, Doc, is with this type of stuff just slowly trickling out, where does that leave us in terms of the confidence that the community has in its leaders and its, you know, in its doctors and lawyers and those types of things?
Well, you raised a good point about the governor, who is a physician. In psychology, there's a theory called compartmentalization. And sometimes people can compartmentalize forms of inappropriate behavior. They will never do A, but they'll do B.
Right.
They'll never do B, but they'll do C.
Sure.
And it could be, you know, that he's been fair-minded with his patients. I think the people to serve as judge in that regard are members of the church that he attends.
Yes.
Does he have black patients who are members of the church? I would think that he probably does.
Absolutely. That's usually how it works.
And so if he has patients who are members of the church, that would be our first line of thought, to ask them. And again, it comes back to the fact that when you do things when you're young and you don't have adults around to correct and help correct your behavior, it leads into very disastrous activities as an adult. And so I thought, Brother Blow, I thought about your comment about was this the first time?
Right.
How many times?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I clearly reflected on that. And again, and I'm repeating myself, the big shocker for me was when I found out by reading the newspapers that he attended a church that was predominantly black.
But, you know, honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. the fact that this is kind of having a snowball effect, and now other officials are trying to come out and own up to it before people find out, as you will. And even the whole revelation of Northam going to a black church really does not mean anything to me. It really doesn't. I mean, when we talk about, one of the things that you said was these are the people that he worships with. The Bible is the same Bible that they used to read passages out of as they beat people, as they oppressed people. So, I really don't even think they really care. I really think at this point they're just putting out things to kind of try to rebuild the character, if you will. It's like, oh no, I'm so sorry about that, but I can't be racist. I go to a black church, Yeah. So
well, your point is a good point, and I told your dad that he had done a good job of giving you support and advice.
Oh, thank you.
You're right on target. After my dad said, after the lynching of his friend, there were about 35 white men, they had a Christian minister come and pray for the lynchers.
Wow.
Not for the boy that was lynched,
but for the people who
did the lynching.
Wow.
So, you can use the Bible, you can use Christianity in any way that you want to. Again, if it comes down to the fundamental business of fairness. Are we going to be fair?
Right.
I struggled with that when I was in the military.
Yeah.
I worked at an Army hospital and during the Korean conflict, and I saw abuse.
Wow.
I saw discrimination, and even at that point in time, I felt it was important, and I did fight against it. You see it in cities. We talk about San Francisco being the liberal city. I remember I drove a yellow cab, by the way, Brother Blow, in San Francisco for a period of time when I was 21 years of age. I drove a yellow cab. After the NAACP boycott, yellow cab hired black drivers. So I was on the streets driving in San Francisco, and they're over in the Fisherman's Wharf. In the Fisherman's Wharf area of San Francisco, there were a lot of restaurants that wouldn't serve blacks.
Wow.
Or they would serve you and put you in the kitchen.
Right.
And that reminded me of my dad traveling from north to south to the annual church convention, and we had to eat in the kitchen.
Wow.
Could not go in certain restaurants and so forth. So again, you can always use, ways to justify victimizing the victim.
Right. Absolutely.
Victimizing the victim. You can always justify it. And cities do it. Political people do it.
Oh, they're pros at it.
And we've got to do something about the young man in the White House. He's not so young anymore. We got to find a way to deal with that as well.
Yes.
So Doc, as we move forward, I have sort of a two-part question for you. Number one, do you think that as more admissions come to light, which I'm sure there will be one or two in the next couple of months or so, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Do you think that everyone that comes forward and says in 1985, 86, 99, whatever, I participate in Blackface, do you think those individuals should be forced to give up their office?
That's a very good question. I think what we need to do is look at standards that should be established that relate to punishment. And if we're going to call for the resignation of a governor who has been, say, dishonest about blackface and then comes out later on, he should pay that price. He should pay some price. But then again, men who come out and say, yeah, I was engaged in sexual assault, but I was young, it was 35, 40 years ago, they should also be held to a certain standard.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And so I see, holding people to a standard prevents later abuse, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Right. And, and I think the slight difference is with this one, with the lieutenant governor. Now, let me just be very clear. I think that sexual assault is abhorrent. I think the only difference in this case is that he is denying it and going through the process, and certainly had the governor been accused of this, and it was pretty much, hey, Governor Northam, I understand that you were in blackface at a party, and, no, I didn't, yes, I did, no, I didn't, and they're going through that process, then absolutely, I think he should be allowed to defend himself and remain in his position until, the facts come out one way or the other. I think everyone deserves due process. However, I think when you come out and say, this was me, and it's kind of obvious that you're doing this because it's getting ready to come out, and you just decide, well, let me get ahead of this thing.
Right.
And in the case of the Virginia governor, now Doc, you're a man who's well traveled and well read. Do you mean to tell me, if I showed you a picture right now and I put up and said, Dr. Green, is this you at the Alpha Convention in 1966?
I said, no, that is not me, Brother Blow. And you need to buy some new eyeglasses.
That's right. Or Doc, are you going to have to look at your lovely wife and say, baby, is that me? Because I'm not sure if I recognize myself.
I would be dead. My wife would shoot me.
Exactly.
She's a link.
That's right.
Oh no!
I mean, Doc. I just don't understand how I would have to ask somebody else, "Is this me in this picture?" Haven't you been around yourself long enough to recognize whether that's you or not?
Well,
or am I crazy?
No, you're not. There's a joke out that this lady caught her husband in a compromising position, and he said, "Honey, this is not me." She said, "Yes, it is, because there's that." Notch on your arm, and I know that notch, that's you. He said, it is not me, honey, it's not me. And he kept saying, finally he just gave up and said, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes?
Oh, exactly.
See, when the people, Brother Blow, are up against it for something that's demeaning to a community, demeaning to your family, they're going to try to find a way often to get around it.
Absolutely.
As Martin Luther King Jr. Used to say, it's important to come forth with an open heart and say, I've sinned. And and not look at others who are saying that you sinned, but say, I've sinned and I need to do better and I will do better. I think the mere fact that he one day it was him, the next day it wasn't him. That made people very, very, I think, unsure about his level of honesty. For example, now we have something with Elizabeth Warren today, who came out and said on her some form she filled out when she was living in Texas, when she took the Texas bar, that she was Native American.
Right. Yes. I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I really do.
Yeah. And how can you do that?
Because you can't.
Being Native American gives her an edge on certain affirmative action matters.
Right.
That's unfair.
Absolutely.
So who's going to believe her in the future?
I know I wouldn't.
Yeah, who's going to believe her in the future?
No, sir.
And especially when you've been high and mighty.
Yes.
Right.
As a friend of mine, Septima Clark, whom I knew very well down in South Carolina, Septima said, don't be so high and mighty, because one day you're going to have to look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, you got to be able to look at yourself in a very honest and clear way.
Absolutely.
It's all really crazy. I mean, the whole thing. I think when the governor was talking, and the political ramifications are just rippling further and further out. So you have them going after the governor. Initially, they were, this came up. Someone dug it up. Some opposition dug it up. But of course, it's no problem digging if you got nothing to find. But if you got some stuff out there, and if you dig far enough on anybody, you're going to find something.
Right.
So they get him. So everyone's talking about getting him out of office. And then you got the lieutenant governor. And then now the lieutenant governor has his issues. And now you have the Attorney General, he was gearing up to run for governor of Virginia, and he's getting caught for dressing the blackface as Curtis Blow. I guess these are the breaks. I mean, that's Curtis Blow of all, and it only happened